more light on the President's visit to Uzbekistan. We are joined over the phone by His Excellency, former Assistant to the Foreign Minister, Ambassador Mohamad Hegazy. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to you.
Ambassador Hegazy, His Excellency President Sisi is the first Egyptian head of state to visit Uzbekistan. How do you view the significance of the visit and its importance?
A very important visit, a renewal of Egypt ties to a country that is bound by historical ties with our region. They have contributed to the history of the region by the virtue of many scholars in early stage of Islam, where many like Ibn Sina or Khawarizmi and the Tirmizi, they are all Uzbek scholars who have enriched our Islamic and culture affinity to this part of Asia. Besides, they have contributed also during the Mamluk era in Egypt leadership. Then we are renewing historical ties with a country that has played a very important role in Central Asia, and it has also a very important experience in economic and industrial. Adopted many successful economic drives that have rendered them one of Central Asia vibrant economy. And I think what has been signed today between the President and the Uzbek counterpart will contribute to the well-being of our relations in the political front, in the framework of cooperation between the two ministries of foreign affairs in the political consultations, as well as between the two ministries of industries, where the Joint Commission is headed by the two ministries. The Minister of Investment, also Sahar Nasr, has signed an agreement with her Uzbek counterpart. If we added the cooperation in the field of education and culture and the relation that exists between Uzbekistan and the universities and Al-Azhar in particular, I think we are heading to a new era of cooperation where we can definitely meet more business leaders from Uzbekistan and invite them to seek opportunities in our land. But at the same time, one has to point that Uzbekistan is the first phase of the Silk Road or the Belt and Road initiative. So the interconnectivity and the inter-cooperation between Egypt and Uzbekistan will pave the way to the countries of this very important initiative to build ties and to cooperate in all fields. You may have followed with the press conference of the two presidents this afternoon. The cooperation in the field of political as well as in confronting terrorism, in security, in military cooperation, beside what is related to the economy, trade, and investment. Having said that, one shouldn't forget the cultural affinity and common history. Even the many of the gardens in Cairo today was built by the Uzbek, like the garden of Al-Azbekiyya, for example, and many leaders in the Afshidi era of the Mamluk ruling in Egypt is also part of this links that exists between us and Uzbekistan. So it's not a country that is far away from our geography. It is a country that is very close to our heart and minds. And I am sure that with the very active embassy in Cairo and the presidential visit, as you know, summit meetings are so important to pave the way to experts and ministers and mechanisms to work under the auspices of the two leaders, in which I am very confident that the relations will develop positively in the near future.
Hopefully. Ambassador Hegazy, the two head of states tackled means of fighting terrorism and extremism as well as restoring the regional security. How do you see the talks concerning these issues of great interest to both countries and to the whole world as well?
As you see, Uzbekistan is a border state to Afghanistan, so many infiltration through borders. Egypt has the same problem. We have infiltration also from west, south, and east. So we have accumulated very important experience in eradicating terrorism and confronting its tactics. So exchanging information is of a paramount importance. Training programs and exchange of expertise will be useful for both countries. And I may add that if we are talking about future economic ties in the framework of the Silk Road or the Belt and Road Initiative, you need to stabilize also the political and security geographies where this Belt and Road or the Silk Road are running from. So to make sure that the initiative is successful, we need to stabilize the regions, we need to eradicate terrorism, and of course we need to cooperate more.
Yes. Ambassador Hegazy, earlier President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi concluded his visit to China. How do you evaluate the Egyptian-Chinese ties on the diplomatic and economic levels?
It is clearly qualified as comprehensive strategic relations. And when I say comprehensive strategic relations, I mean political security and military ties. I mean economic cooperation as well as investment, trade as well, culture and civilization affinity. China and Egypt are two of the oldest civilizations in the world. So according to my say, the political, economic and cultural ties have qualified this relation to strategic. One has to refer to certain figures to make it clearer to your audience. The 11 billion US dollars of trade between Egypt and China is coupled during this visit by an agreement or agreements of 18.5 billion US dollar of Chinese companies' investment in Egypt, in addition to what existed before, like the industrial zone, like the infrastructure work in the new capital, the new electric train between the capital and the industrial areas, the clean coal generator nearby the Red Sea in Hamrawain with 6,000 megawatt of production, a huge station, in addition to 5 solar energy production area in Aswan. One can understand that the economic opportunity or Egypt as a business opportunity or investment opportunity was very clear to the Chinese side. Besides, of course, supporting Egypt's role in the region, as I said, will help stabilize the ties between the countries of the region, but also it will protect the interest that China has in this very important part of the world.
Yes, indeed. Ambassador Mohamad Hegazy, former assistant to the foreign minister, always a pleasure to listen to your very precious input, sir. Thank you very much. And of course, on his third and final leg of